Can we start the class?
Yeah.
Okay. There are 24 participants. Good afternoon, everybody. On behalf of the Academy, I extend warm welcome to each one of you for today's webinar on accounting reforms of Indian Railways. And to take up the session, we have Sri M. Nageshwar Rao, the Senior Instructor Sitara. It's over to Sri M. Nageshwar Rao to commence the session.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Banner. Good morning, participants. Yeah. So today's our topic is accounting reforms in Indian Railways. All of you know it is the latest buzzword, latest one in the Indian Railways. Because from Primary Finance Minister to all our everyone is talking about accounting reforms. So what is it? What is the need? We will all discuss in today's session. So right now all are muted. I will unmute at the end of the session so that we can discuss any queries or any issues on this topic. Yeah, please confirm in the chat box. Is it visible and as well as audible?
Yes, it is visible and audible also.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Thank you. So accounting reforms, it is we can call it as ABC of accounting reforms. ABC means A stands for accrual accounting, B stands for outcome budget, C stands for performance cost. So we'll discuss all these three components. So before that, it is an introduction. See, presently our government accounts in three types is there. That means it is a union government, that is central government, and in states like AP, Telangana, Maharashtra, and local bodies, that is Jilla Parishad and Panchayat Raj, Mandal, all. So all three types in the accounting system, this government accounting, right now it is following cash-based accounting system. Cash-based accounting system. The source for maintaining this cash-based accounting system is GFR, General Financial Rules, and other Indian Railway codes and manuals. This is the source. So it is felt that there is a need for financial reporting to be in sync with the shift in the priorities of the public finance. Because there may be a lot of changes happened in the public finance, that is a government finance. So world over, they are changed from cash based to accrual based. So in order to achieve this, the accounting systems the world over are being revisited. And the important one is FRBM Act. It is enacted in the 2003. That is a Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management Act. And outcome budget are the first initiatives in this journey of this accrual accounting. So it is nothing but it is changed from rule based to standard based. So far we are maintained the accounts as per the rules that is in the GFR, General Financial Rules. Now we want to move from rule based to standards based. Standards it is evolved by the ICFA and international accounting bodies and GASAB, Government Accounting Standards Advisory Board. They are all prepared so many standards for uniformity of the accounting transactions in all over the world. So we want to move from this rule based to account or standards based. That is nothing but cash basis to accrual basis system of accounting. So it is we can see what Finance Minister says in the budget speech in 2016 and 17. This is the excerpts from the Finance Minister. As a thriving commercial entity, we also want IR to go a step further and establish an accounting system where outcomes can be tracked to inputs. That is main important. Where outcomes can be tracked to inputs. This is a structural change which forms the bedrock of our transformation, as right accounting would determine right costing and hence right pricing and right outcomes. Here these 4 pages are there. That means if the right accounting is there, it is automatically paves the way for finding right costing. So if you know right costing, it is we can fix the right pricing. That is whether it is a passenger fares or goods rates or whatever it is. The basis is right costing so that we can fix the right pricing. So if right pricing done, outcomes also right outcomes. So we intend taking up its implementation over railways in a mission mode. That is a mission bookkeeping. That is the mission bookkeeping, and complete the entire rollout in the next few years. That is what Finance Minister, the Railway Minister in the budget speech 2016 and 17. Now we'll check. So Indian Railways has initiated several reforms in the area of accounting systems and reporting systems, duly launching 3 pilot projects. 3 pilot projects launched. One is accrual accounting, second is performance costing, third is outcome budget. Simply we can call it as ABC of accounting reforms. A for accrual accounting, B for outcome budget, C for performance costing. So the above 3 put together are popularly known as accounting reforms. Now we'll check one by one. First we'll take accrual accounting. Accrual accounting, before discussing accrual accounting, we will discuss limitations of the cash-based system. What we are followed right now in the government systems, organizations, that is a cash-based system. What are the disadvantages or what are the limitations? We'll discuss so that we can understand accrual accounting more. So in the limitations in the cash-based system are P&L account and balance sheet are not as per the format of the commercial accounts as per the Companies Act. So whatever we adopted P&L account and balance sheet in the Indian Railways, they are not as per the format of the commercial accounts or Companies Act 2013. And the terminology used in the financial statements is not understandable to the accountants or outsiders. Maybe it is a gross working expense, ordinary working expense, surplus, shortfall. Sometimes it is not, it is like a Greek and Latin to outsiders. And depreciation policy is not correct because it is not as per the commercial principles. And asset register is not maintained. However, we are initiated recently that preparation of this FAR, fixed asset register, in that direction. And the earnings and expenditure are not accounted as per accounting year concept, that is accrual accounting. And outstanding expenditure is not captured in the same year. No segregation of work in progress and finished works under estimated demand number 16. So the problem is, so we are calculating this depreciation on even on the works in progress also. There is no segregation. Now we'll check differences between cash accounting and accrual accounting. We'll check the step one by one. So the recording coming to part of recording, in cash accounting only we record cash transactions. Whereas in accrual accounts, we will record cash as well as credit, both. That is the advantage. Here there is no scope for recording of credit transactions in the cash accounting system. And whether it is a prepaid expense or outstanding expense, there is no possibility to record in the cash accounting. Whereas we will take it to the P&L account in the accrual accounting. Like that, accrued income or income received in advance. That is the expenses said, this is income. Accrued income or income received in advances, both should not be taken, both are not taken into the account in cash accounting. Whereas in the accrual, we are taking it. And here, a revenue recognized only cash is received in cash accounting. Whereas in the accrual accounting, The moment it is earned, we are recognizing the revenue in accrual account. That means the realization of cash is immaterial in the accrual account. Only the moment we earned some amount will take into the records in the accrual account. And expenses recognized only when cash has been spent in a cash account. Whereas in accrual accounting, the moment they are billed, that means the receipt of invoice, though the cash outgo is immaterial here in accrual accounting. And bills receivables and bills payable is not accounted in the cash account, that is sundry debtors and sundry creditors. Whereas in the accrual accounting, we will take both sundry debtors and sundry creditors, that is DR and D. And it is very difficult to calculate profit or loss in the cash basis system. It is not possible. But in the accrual accounting, it is very easy to prepare, to find profit or loss. And this cash basis system, it is useful for only small businesses where it is a proprietorship, sole proprietorship, or the nature of the number of transactions are less than 100. Only in that case, only this cash based is useful. Whereas for accrual based, it is useful for all the type of organizations, including. To maintain the records as per the cash-based accounting, technical knowledge not at all required. But however, here it is a required technical knowledge is required for to prepare accounts as per the accrual basis. So legal position of cash basis, it is nil. There is no legal position. Whereas in the accrual accounting, it is recognized by the Companies Act 2013. So it is a legally recognized. And acceptability, the cash accounting, there is no acceptability because it does not reveal the correct profit or loss. Whereas this acceptability of the accrual accounting, it is yes, because it reveals correct profit and loss, and not only that, it reveals the financial position, that is a balance sheet at the end of the financial year. That is more important. So these are the differences between cash accounting and accrual accounting. Now we will try to understand the cash accounting or the accrual accounting differences in small examples. Suppose in an example, Mr. Venkat commenced a business on March 1st, 2021 with a capital of 55,000. What is the capital? 55,000. So he purchased goods worth 50,000 by paying cash. So he purchased, that is cash purchases is 50,000. But he sold all the goods for an amount of 60,000, but not on cash basis, credit basis. It is a credit basis. That means purchases it is cash sales, whereas sales it is credit basis. That means he promised to pay later. Okay. And business expenses during the month of March 2021, it is 2,000 rupees. That is cash. Now accounts are closed 31st March. Now we'll check both this cash accounting and accrual accounting, the same transactions. Now we'll check the cash basis. So here cash basis accounting, cash is the main important one. They are not recognizing any other. So here cash basis brought capital into the business, that is 55,000 cash book. So cash book shows this is debit balance 55,000. So again cash purchases, that is 50,000. So minus 50,000. So that means the balance is 5,000. Out of 5,000, expenses we paid 2,000 minus 2,000. So what is the closing balance of the cash or surplus? It is the 3,000. So it is a very difficult to reveal what is profit or loss from the basis of this cash book. Because if it is the single transaction, okay, we can know that sales is 60,000, purchase is 50,000, that is a 10,000 is profit. That is a gross profit. Out of 10,000, 2,000 rupees is the expenses. net profit is 8,000. We can know, but in case of business having thousands of transactions, this purchase, sales, and so many expenses, it is a very, very difficult. It is not possible to calculate what is profit or what is loss. Only we can know what is cash balance at the beginning of the year and what is the closing balance we can able to know. Other than that, it is very difficult to know the financial position at the end of the year, that is balance sheet or what is profit. It is very difficult. Now we'll check the same transactions in the accrual basis. So accrual basis, we prepared this P&L account, that is expenditure and income, and we show the balance sheet at the end of the year. So now we'll check the same transactions in the expenditure and the income. What is the expenditure here? It is only 50,000 is expenditure cash, because that is purchases. What is income? Though it is credit sales, cash is not received, but we recognize the revenue because it is earned. We earned this amount. So here cash is immediately in the accrual account. So we are taking the 60,000 as the income. So expenses we paid, that is a business expenses 2,000. Just a minute. So here the expenditure is 50,000 plus 2,000, 52,000. Income is 60,000. So the difference of income and expenditure is 8,000 is the profit. So it is very easy to calculate profit because we are recognized the 60,000 as the income, though cash is not received, because the same is reflected in the asset side as sundry debtors or bills receivable. Now the profit is 8,000. Now we check the financial position at the end of the year, that is balance sheet. Balance sheet, that capital is 55,000 and profit is accrued to the capital, that is 8,000. So total liability is 63,000. Now coming to assets, the sundry debtors, because it is a trade sales, now 60,000 is the asset, and the cash balance 3,000 also it is an asset. Now please check the 63,000, it is a tallied. Both liabilities and assets are equal in the statement of financial position. So this is the advantage of the accrual accounting. We'll able to find out the profit as well as we know the financial position of the organization or concern at the end of the year very easily. Now we'll take some examples. 1 minute. See, one example I taken, received 5,000 as income of the year 2021-22. Whereas this is the accounting year is 2020-21. That means it is a advance income. This is the income pertaining to next year, but received in the current year. That means received income in advance 2020-21. Example is advance reservations. In the March or February or March, we have received income for advance reservation of April, May or June, because 4 months in advance. So this is the example 5,000. Suppose if it is the cash accounting, we are received the movement whenever it, in which year it is received, we received in the recorded in the same year. That is received 5,000 as the current year income in the P&L account. But whereas it is incorrect because it is pertain to next year. Suppose this treatment of the same transaction in the accrual accounting is, we are recorded this 5,000 but not as income, because it is received in advance. So it is recorded as sundry creditors or bills paid and showing on the liability side of the balance sheet of the 2020-20. And next year 2020-21, the same amount is deducted from the liabilities and posted in the P&L account of the next year. So that it will be recorded. And same, this is the earning side. Now we'll check the expenditure side. Suppose one bill is received 1 lakh rupees in 2020-21, that is contractor bill, but we are not paid because of some internal check. So in the cash books, there is no recording of this 1 lakh in the current year because there is no cash outgo. Because cash accounting only recognizes whether cash is outgoing or cash is incoming. So there is no recording of this 1 lakh in the cash basis account. Whereas in the accrual accounts, the same is recorded as expenditure in the current year, and it will be shown as the outstanding liability. It is the same shown as the outstanding liability, that is a sundry creditors. So thereby we are recognize the expenditure though cash is not outgo. Cash, there is no cash outgo also. We are recognize the expenditure and shown in the current year P&L account. This is the main difference between this cash accounting and accrual accounting. Now we'll check the salient features of this accrual accounting. So it is follows accounting year concept. That means the year of recognition is very, very important. All revenues and payments are taken into account whether the same are realized or paid is immaterial. Here, cash outgo or cash incoming is immaterial. Only it is a revenue recognition where the billed or not expenditure, whether amount or revenue earned or not are important, not cash received or cash outgo. And it excludes payments received in advance, that is advance reservation, and include all expenses pertaining to current year, whether it is a paid or not is not important. Whether the expenditure is pertain to current year is only determination, not it is paid or not. And at the same time records all income accrued, though realized in the same year or not. Suppose some due is there, profit suspense or demands recoverable. In spite of that, we are taken into the account in the current year. That is the accrual accounting. And we are started converting these financial statements into accrual accounting from 2014 and 15 onwards. This P&L account we are shown as a change as the statement of income and expenditure, and balance sheet we are changed as the statement of financial position. And the FAR, this preparation of FAR is the main important initiative in the process of this implementation of accrual accounting, because this is the base for opening figures for statement of financial position or balance sheet. If it is not prepared, the opening figures of the balance sheet of 2014 and 15 is not possible. And for depreciation, we recommended this straight line method, fixed installment method. And one more initiative, important reform is segregating this capital works in progress. CWIP stands for capital works in progress from finished works. Before that, there is no such segregation in the demand number 16. Altogether, it is a poster under demand number 16. Now it is a segregation. So if there is segregation, the advantage is depreciation need not be provided for the CWIP because there is no finished work. So depreciation element is not required for capital works in progress. And we have to take into account all outstanding bills to contractors or suppliers, like in the March salaries and the demands payable. See, in the March, those salaries are paid in the April, but we are accounted in the March itself through demands payable. Like that, this all outstanding bills to contractors and suppliers also should be taken into the current year and shown as the liabilities in the statement of financial position. And already we discussed this advance income, that is the advance reservations. It should be deducted from the current year earnings and shown as the liability in the statement of financial position. The introduction of cash flow statement. And this task we are given to ICAA, that is the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, ARF, Accounting Research Foundation, ARF of ICAA, we are interested in this task. And we have taken up the pilot projects, that is for Zonal Railway, Northwestern Railway, and for manufacturing workshops, it is RCF Rail Coach Factory, Kapurthala. For divisions, Vadodara division in the Western Railway, we are taken as the pilot projects. But it requires changes in the allocations, because at present there is no primary unit for depreciation. If the accrual accountings are implemented, a primary unit has to be allocated for this depreciation in the finance code value 2. And we have to change the software, that is iPass, to introduce this accrual account. And last but not least, approvals required from government as well as C&AG, Controller and Auditor General. So this is the accrual accounting. This is the first part. Now we'll check the second one, outcome budget. This is the very important. It is simply says conversion of financial outlays into physical outcomes. Financial outlays means that outlay as per the pink book or in the budget. So it is converted into physical outcome. That means how many kilometers has constructed, or how many coaches are PUH'd, how many bridges are constructed, how many road over bridges are constructed. It is a physical outcomes. We can link it with the financial outlays. We can discuss some examples of this article. What is the backdrop of this outcome budget is the existing budget system, although involves proper checks and validations at various levels, but it relies heavily on expenditure figures, only figures, not physical outcomes of previous year. And then we are incremented, that means we added some percentage due to inflation or pay commission recommendation. And we are fixed the revised requirements in the next year. That is the drawback of this present system. So the present system consists of comparison of expenditure incurred, vice versa, budget estimates or allotment, without estimating the final outcome expected to be achieved. So it is not worried about what is fiscal outcome. It is only relies and compared to only the expenditure with respect of budget grant. So it is not concerned about the physical outcome. So to remove this obstacle, or to remove this one, the performance budget was introduced in the year 1969 following the recommendations of the ARC, Administrative Reforms Commission. So this is the first initiative before outcome budget, the performance budget in the year 1969. But even in the performance budget also some weaknesses are existed. So to address certain weaknesses in the performance budget system, that is like the lack of clear relationship between financial and performance budget and inadequate target setting for the ensuing year. So we introduced the outcome budget. So first, this outcome budget is introduced in the year 2005 and 6 in the Ministry of Finance. First in the Ministry of Finance, 2005 and 6. And next year, that is 2006 and 7, it was introduced in the Indian Railways as well as all other ministries. But it is applicable for all works of 5 crores and above only, not below 5 crores. This outcome budget is not applicable. Okay? Please remember 5 crores and above. What is theme of this outcome budget? Simple: converting financial outlays into physical outcomes. It is like a mechanism of checks and balances. Checks and balances. And also it can be described as the progress card on what railways have done with the amount assigned in the previous annual budget. That means after completion of the financial year, what is the amount allotted, and with that amount to what is the railway is achieved in the physical outcomes. That is very, very important. So it is a measured estimated outcomes of all government projects and check whether money has been sent for the purpose it was sanctioned or not. So that is also very, very important. The object of grant is fulfilled and the amount is spent on that purpose only or not. That is we are checking. So what is the method? It is like a evolving and dynamic process. The actual physical performance of the previous year, current year, and targeted performance during the next year is analyzed. Please remember, here it is not expenditure figures. Here the comparison of the physical performance of the last year, current year, and next year target. This is very important. How it is achieved means by defining intermediate and final outcomes, by standardizing the unit cost and capacity building for needed efficiency, and ensuring regularization and adequate flow of funds. All these are very, very important. So this in outcome budget, we have reviewed this every 3 months, and we will put benchmarking to compare the actuals with the benchmark, and effective monitoring and evaluation, and identifying areas where funds to be reallocated based on the priority. So advantages of outcome budget is outcome of the projects not only in monetary terms or financial terms, but also physical outcomes, and helps management to control expenditure or introduce discipline on expenditure. So that government projects become more result oriented, and reduce cost by identifying projects that do not contribute enough outcomes. Suppose if you are identified some projects are not resulting enough or sufficient outcomes, then we are reallocating those expenditure to priority one, so thereby reducing cost, and we can fix the accountability also. These are the advantages. Now we'll check the examples of outcome budget. This is very, very important. Some examples. See, first example, the work is earthing of signals to reduce the incidences of failure due to frequent lightning. That is in numbers. Say example, it is the one number, it is a rupees 30 lakhs. 30 lakhs for earthing of signal. So what is the physical outcome we are expected? What is financial outlay? This is 30 lakhs. What is physical outcome? Substantially reduced rate of signal failure in the section from A to B or X to XA, so that we can reduce the signal failure. So it resulted the enhanced throughput in the section in terms of GTKM or NTKM of the freight trains. And not only that, increased coach kilometers or PKM, passenger kilometers for passenger trains. And this should be converted into the savings in the, that is finance. That is how much savings, that is how many lakhs per month we are saved. So this is the one example. Another example is fitment of fuel efficiency kit in diesel locomotives. Thereby we can increase this specific fuel consumption. That is kit 45 lakhs. This is approximate 45 lakhs per kit. So what are the advantages? What are the physical outcomes? This is the improved SFC, specific fuel consumption. That is nothing but saving of high-speed diesel oil in the liters per month, and it should be converted into the money. That is savings, monetized how many lakhs per month it is saved. So this is the financial outcome and physical outcomes. And development of goods shed with the state-of-the-art facility, that is modern facilities. That is suppose the estimated outlay is 50 lakhs. What are the advantages? What is the physical outcome? A reduced detention of rake from X to XA, and enhanced loading in tons, and freight revenue expected to be increased by how many lakhs per month? So this is the outcome. And another example, last example is the ROB or RUP. In place of LC gate, level crossing gates. So what is the estimated expenditure? It is a 2 crores. What are the physical outcomes? Elimination of accident at the LC gate. It can avoid accident. And thereby it can increase the maximum train speed. And reduction in the train detention. Increase throughput. And as a result, increased GTKM or NTKM or PKM and enhanced traffic endings. And this should be converted into the revenue that is a lakhs per month. So these are the 4 examples. Now we'll go third one of the accrual accounting reforms, that is performance costing. So the benefits of accounting reforms would accrue to the system by identifying appropriate cost and profit centers and allocating cost to them. So it is very, very important allocating cost to the different centers. So for this establishment of cost centers, revenue centers, profit centers and investment centers is very, very important. Cost centers means all executives. Revenue centers means it is a commercial department because it is the revenue. And profit center means it is a zonal railway, South Central, Southern Railway, Western Railway, Central Railway. And investment centers is nothing but construction organization. So a system of control by delegating and locating responsibility for cost as well as revenues, that is nothing but fixation of the responsibility on the small organizations or individuals or departments. This is the main theme of this performance costing. That means senior DE, senior DEN, senior DCM like that executives you can fix. Or you can fix the IOW, PWA, or it is a department's mechanical, commercial, etc. So World Bank in the year 1970, it is stressed the need to fully develop a system of responsibility accounting on practice. So responsibility accounting, it is suggested by the World Bank in the year 1970. So RCC Railway Convention Committee, it is commented on the accounting and budgetary exercise as a routine and dogmatic exercise undertaken and produced by the bureaucratic elite. So it is commented, it is criticized the existing budgetary exercise. It's like a routine and dogmatic exercise, not useful for this performance also. So that is the reason, as a result, the revised accounting classification came into force from the 1979 April 1st. It provides synchronization of accounting and budgetary exercise. It is a very good initiative in this direction in the 1979. Yeah. Now salient features is, see, it is emphasize the division of organization among different subunits like senior DE or accounts department or senior DME or IOW or PWA in such a way that each subunit is the responsibility of the manager. This is the fixing of the responsibility accounting. It is like a cause and effect relationship between the manager's decisions and actions. So that manager should be held responsible for those activities which are directly falling under his or her control. So this is the main feature of the responsibility performance costing. So what are the prerequisites required for implementation of this performance costing is the area of responsibility and authority of each sector should be well defined before itself. We have to define, we have to check what is the responsibility and who is the authority. And each responsibility should have a clear set of goal for the manager. Suppose if it is a zonal railway, yeah, it is a goal of operating ratio. If it is a executive, the benchmark, the comparison of actual expenditure to the benchmark. So like that, they have to fix a clear set of goal for each and every manager. So the manager should participate in establishing such goals that are going to be achieved. And performance report for each responsibility center should be prepared, highlighting variances. Variance means it is a favorable variances and unfavorable variance. Variance means it is the difference between actual and the benchmark or standard. Suppose standard is 50 rupees per unit. Suppose actual expenditure is 60 rupees. So it is an unfavorable variance 10 rupees. Or if it is a standard rate is 50 rupees, whereas the actual amount incurred is 40 rupees, it is a favorable variance. So such variances we have to give explanation, and if it is a very high variation, again it is a time to refixing the standards or benchmarks. So in the performance report of the responsibility center should be, it is a expenses, revenue, profit and investments controlled by manager should only find the place, not other things. Whatever things he is responsible, the manager is for such things only we have included in the performance report. The source documents are CO7, that is cash out 7, JV, journal voucher and money receipt are to be coded with the specific unit as well as activity that is called spending unit, so that the cost of each unit and activity can be captured in the IPAS data very easily. Now we check how many responsibility centers are there in the system of this performance costing, and we check. So responsibility centers, it is divided into 4 segments, 4 centers. The first one is cost center. It is the main expenditure. What are the examples? It may be electrical department, accounts department, or it is like a executive wise, senior DE, senior DE, senior DFM, like that. So it is the cost center. Efforts are now on hand to identify even small units also, that is IOW, signal inspector or PW also. Because we can expand to this performance costing to be up to the basic unit. It is suggested by the Sri Hassan Iqbal committee. On the committee, it is a committee for identification of cost centers and profit centers. So popularly it is called as the Hassan Iqbal committee. So it is the smaller or smallest segment of the area of responsibility for which cost can be accumulated. But here, controllable cost only be selected for this purpose, not uncontrollable. Uncontrollable means fixed cost. He is not responsible for that fixed cost. That is salaries of the sanctioned strength or this rent of the building. Such things it should not be included in this. That is cost center. Now we'll check revenue center. Revenue center means it is a income generating. That is normally it is a commercial department or senior DCM of division. So it is very simple. He is responsible for generating revenue, or he is responsible for achieving a goal or target fixed by the railway board in advance. That is commercial or revenue center. And third one is the investment center. So it is like nothing but construction. That is projects like doubling, new line, that is our CEO construction or senior DN or PCE. It is examples. So it is the segment of activity for the area held responsible for both profit and investments. Here this is the responsible for both profit and investments. The objective of investment center is to maximize the rate of return on the investment. However, the present rate of return is 10%. In Few years back it is a 14%. Again, it is reduced to 12%. Now it is finally settled at 10%. Now the last one is profit center. We'll check. Profit center. Profit center is nothing but zonal railways are called as profit center. That is an example: South Central Railway, Western Railway, Central Railway, Northern Railway, etc. It is an area of responsibility whereon the expenses and revenue pertaining to particular profit center are accumulated. That is, here both it is clubbed, expenditure as well as revenue. So far, zonal railways only are considered as the profit center. So that is the reason in Indian Railways and for zonal railways we have prepared P&L account and balance sheet. But however, efforts are on the way to propose or to include divisions also. That is like Secunderabad, Bombay, Vadodara, such divisions also. We have to treat as profit sectors, like in the lines of this zonal railways. It is recommended by the committee of Hassan Iqbal committee. So, as part of this recommendation, a pilot project has implemented in the Vadodara division in the Western Railway with the help of the Railway Staff College, Vadodara. So, a pilot project is to change this Vadodara division from cost center to profit center. To make division as a profit center, what are the things is important and required is divisionalization of apportionment of earnings, because all of you know right now this apportionment of earnings on the zonal basis is there. There is no traffic accounts office in the divisions. So it is centralized. Now, if you want to convert this divisions also as a profit center, it is the first step is the divisionalization of the apportionment of earnings with the due weightage of or originating earnings or terminating transiting divisions as an inducement for adopting aggressive marketing strategies. So this is the topic. I will launch some MCQ multiple choice questions. After that questions, we'll go for queries and any doubts by the trainees. Okay. Yeah, it is 7 questions is there, 5 minutes time. Please submit your answers. Hope it is visible to all of you. Please confirm in the chat box. Okay, right. Please go ahead. Five minutes time. Please. Yeah, please submit your answers. And any queries, please post in the chat box. We'll discuss. Your last 2 minutes, please submit. Yeah. All are unmuted. Yeah. Can I close the poll? Or anyone is left? Please confirm. Yeah, all are unmuted. I will give last half minute. Yeah, I uploaded this supporting reforms article in the chat box. Please check and download. Okay, I end the poll. Now we'll discuss the answers. Please confirm is it visible or not, this poll results. Yeah, is it visible to all of you?
No, sir.
Please check. What about others? Yeah, I'll check again. Now please check once again. Okay, right. Yeah, now we'll discuss, which is not part of the accounting reforms in Indian Railway. So that is ABC. ABC means accrual accounting, outcome budget, performance costing. These three are part of accounting reforms. Whereas IREPS, it is only e-tendering system. It is not part of accounting reform. So IREPS is the correct answer, 58%. Yeah. Outcome budget introduced in the Indian Railway in the year 2006 and 7. Very good. Only 38% is correct answer because it was introduced in the Ministry of Finance in the 2005 and 6. Not in Indian Railways. In other departments, including Indian Railways, it is 6 and 7. So only A is the correct answer, not 16, 17 wrong, 5 and 6 wrong, 17 and 18 wrong. Okay, outcome budget, it is applicable for the works of 5 crores and above. I told you, I explained the topic class. It is not 10 crores or 100 crores or 50 crores. Only 46% as correct answer. So, which is not part of the responsibility center. Yes, manufacturing sector is not a part of responsibility centers. 4 centers, that is cost center, that is executives or departments, senior DFM, senior DCM, senior DME. Profit center means it is zonal railways. Investment center is construction. And revenue center is nothing but commercial department or senior DCM. Cost is executive, profit is zonal railway, investment is construction, and this revenue center is commercial department. So manufacturing center is not part of responsibility center. So 62%, very good. Present rate of return, already I told it is only 10%. Now it is reduced from 14 to 12 and again to 10%. Oh, very good. 69% is correct answer. So what is the example of profit center? Profit center example is zonal railway. Whereas investment center example is construction. Example of revenue center is the senior DCM. Example of this cost center is the senior DN or senior DCM. Senior DN or senior DN. So here it is 58% is correct. The name of the division as taken for the implementation of Hassan Iqbal recommendation, that is a converting division as the profit center is the Vadodara is the right answer, 42%, not Secunderabad. Vadodara in the Western Railway is the right answer. Now please, any queries? All are unmuted. Any queries you can post in the chat box or please ask me. Otherwise, we'll wind up the session.
Sir, repeat the last one, please. MCQ.
Repeat the last one. So this Hassan Iqbal recommendations, it is one of the recommendations is the converting divisions as the profit center. Right now, the profit center is the zonal railway. So to make this division also as a profit center, we need to this apportionment of this traffic earnings among the divisions also. Right now, this apportionment of earnings is happened among the all zonal railways. Now we can apportion among the divisions also, so that the divisions also can act as the profit center. That means we can calculate operating ratio for divisions also. So that is the recommendation of the Hassan Iqbal committee recommendations. Further, we have taken this Vadodara division as the pilot project to implement this Hassan Iqbal recommendation.
Okay, sir. Vadodara.
Yeah. So that is. Yeah, any more queries? I think you can wind up the session. If there are no queries,
Yeah, okay.
you can download this article in the chat box, and I will share in the WhatsApp groups also.
Okay, we are winding up the session. On behalf of the academy, I thank Sri M. Nageshwar Rao, Senior Instructor Sitara, for taking up the session and also interacting with the participants and clearing many queries. Thank you so much. Tomorrow we have a session at 3 o'clock. The login time is 2:45. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Yeah.